one of our favorite members of Congress in the entire Congress, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. She's going to be joining us right about. Let's see, always an exciting time doing a live. There we go. Hey,
I'm Benny.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
It's a great hat. Look at that.
Look at that.
Is that the man? Did the big man sign that?
The big man signed this, but you know, this big man doesn't get 10% like the new guy. And so no, he got 10% taken from him. But speaking of stealing, I've been watching Democrats steal bases all night at the congressional baseball game here in Washington, D.C.
This is amazing. Okay, so for our viewers that don't know, what is the congressional baseball game? What's going on tonight?
Vinny, you act like I know what the congressional baseball game is. So first of all, when I come to Washington, D.C., I work, so I don't have time for practices, so I'm not on the team. But the Republicans, I'm going to show y'all, the Republicans and the Democrats play each other here at the stadium. Democrats just did something good.
Boo.
So, yeah, boo.
Boo.
Let's see, they are up 11-10.
Oh,
but
no,
it's actually a really fun event. We have all of our staff out here, family come out to come to the game, and so it's actually a really good time.
All right, well, Lauren, I know your time is valuable. I know you got to cheer on Republicans. You do a great job fighting for us in Congress. Tell our viewers right now, we got 1,000 people watching, what is going to happen with this absurd infrastructure bill. I like to call it the inflation bill. It's just hyperinflation.
Yes.
It's simply to destroy the value of the American dollar. That's what it is, and to indebt all of our children. You have kids, I have kids, we're young parents, we're both patriots. What's going on with this bill?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, it's not just one bill, because the infrastructure bill is connected to the budget reconciliation. We've heard it from the White House, we've heard it from the Senate, we've heard it from the House, and all of the Democrats are saying they are connected because they understand that they cannot get the progressives to go with the infrastructure if the moderates don't go with the reconciliation. So this is not just a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. This is more of a $4.3 trillion budget reconciliation tied with the infrastructure, $5.5 trillion. And no matter how much Common Core math you do, it will never ever equal zero.
Where does that come from? Like, in what do they think that we're all Joe Biden? Do they think we all have Alzheimer's? Like, do we have dementia?
Okay, yeah.
Where does this math come from? Because this has now been repeated by everyone, right? The talking points go out. It's fun. You watch this stuff. I watch this stuff. It's amazing to see the talking points. When the talking points hit, they all go on message, and they all say at the same time, it'll cost $0. Where does that come from? Do they think we're all idiots?
Maybe it's coming from Obama in his basement. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly who's leading this, but I can tell you that Obama's third term is far worse than his first and second term. So
Pelosi said it.
Yes,
Pelosi
she did.
said this is Obama's agenda.
That's what she said. Yes, they don't even hide it anymore. They say the quiet parts out loud on a regular basis. They don't hide their insanity. I see on a regular basis that the Democrats are envious of the Chinese Communist Party. That's what they want America to be. And I'm here to make sure we never become a communist country. I'm a mother of 4 boys, and I'm here because I refuse to send them into AOC's socialist nation. And so we're doing everything that we can to stop these 2 bills this week. Hopefully the Democrats don't sign on. Hopefully the Republicans don't sign on.
Come on.
Let's not give them any votes here. They're in a circular firing squad, and Republicans aren't in it. We don't have to be in it. We don't have to play this game. Let them do this. Let this be on them. And so hopefully we can all stay united on this today. But you know, it's interesting being in Congress. How do you be so honored and so disgusted at the same time? This is the honor of my life, to be in Washington, D.C., representing people of Colorado, people all across our nation, and standing for the Constitution and for what matters the most. And then I get here and I just see how much control the Democrats want and where they want to take our nation, and it's truly disgusting.
Tell people about because I love having you on. I love having you on either, you know, whether it's Newsmax, whether it's here on Facebook. It's so great to have, because you have this fresh perspective. You have a perspective that isn't mired in corruption, that hasn't been around DC for 4 decades. You have this fresh eyes on this process. So this is your first budget reconciliation process that you've witnessed up close. It's very confusing for a lot of people. I see this in the comment section right now that's blowing up. We have 2,000 people watching. They're saying, okay, it's very confusing. There's so much Hogwarts level magic and potions that get thrown into this thing. Can you break down where we are in the process, and most importantly, how do we stop this absurd hyperinflation bill from passing? How does it end really well, and how does it end really poorly? What are the 2 options here?
So I actually serve on the budget committee, and this is our second budget reconciliation this Congress. We had one in the beginning of the year. You may not know that it's a budget reconciliation because they wanted to call it the COVID American Rescue Plan is what they called it. And that was $1.9 trillion at the beginning of the year. And I was very frustrated with that budget reconciliation because it didn't go through the budget committee for us to actually discuss the parts of the bill. $1.9 trillion bypassing committee, straight to the floor, straight to the Senate. Now they want a budget reconciliation rather than actually passing a budget or a bill, because a budget reconciliation only requires a majority vote. The Senate is split 50-50. Kamala comes in, she cackles a little bit, she gives her vote, and they get the reconciliation passed. So they don't need the filibuster to stop this, and so they want to pass a reconciliation so they get their majority and get it passed. And so this is actually our second one. You might be hearing $3.5 trillion for this budget reconciliation, but surprise, surprise, Democrats broke their agreement and they overspent. This budget reconciliation is now at $4.3 trillion, and they're wanting to send that over to the Senate and get it passed with a majority. They are they already have that bipartisan support in the Senate for the infrastructure bill, so that's why we have such a strong push to get the infrastructure bill passed in the House. So then the progressives like AOC, Ilhan Omar, and the rest of the crazy loony squad will send that over to the Senate and get it passed. So it is complicated, it is complex, and that's by design, because they don't want the average person to know what's going on here. They don't want them to be able to have input and influence to what's happening. So we need to make sure that everyone is educated and is actually calling their representatives. Call your Republican representatives and let them know you do not want to support this. This, if passed, is far worse than anything Obamacare ever gave us. We have amnesty in this. We have all sorts of stuff that is absolutely bad. It's the largest tax hike in American history. I mean, amnesty for 8 million illegals. We're already having a hard enough time hiring people. And then we have this influx, 1.5 million illegal aliens coming in through the southern border. Absolutely disgusting there. Benny, I could talk to you for an hour on that. And if you'd like to talk about the border, there's some really interesting things happening there. But all of this, like I said, is just disgusting, the direction they are taking our country and squandering our children's future.
Yeah, we've been covering this really when you peel the onion layers back and you look at the size of this thing and what it does. There's a media bailout in this thing for billions of dollars to bail out corporate media. To bail out corporate media? Are you kidding me? There is a bailout in here for community organizers. This is how you know Barack Obama wrote this damn thing. His fingerprints are all over this thing. We laughed at him for 8 years for being a community organizer. Now look at what he gets to do. He's now funding community organizers who are going to go do what? Ballot harvest, walk people into the polls. This is exactly what it is. Billions of dollars for community organizing. This bill is absurd. You need to talk about the actual elements of the bill. You need to pin them down, because they're trying to hide behind this infrastructure, right? Yes. And they're trying to say it's to fix bridges. There's not a damn thing in here about bridges or potholes.
You're exactly right. So I think it's about 20% of the bill goes to actual infrastructure. Now, I have an infrastructure bill. I put this out whenever the Biden regime first started talking about infrastructure. I said, whoa, 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 let's get it right. Let's have an opportunity to put forward a bill that's actually right. I have a piece of legislation. It's called the AIM Act. And no, that's not a pun, because I love the Second Amendment. It's the American Infrastructure Modernization Act. And this bill take $650 billion of the unspent COVID CARES money, no new money spent, already approved by Congress, not raising taxes, and it goes to actual infrastructure, and it's not a progressive wish list. And unfortunately, what they're wanting to pass is a progressive wish list, just like we've seen all year long. But, you know, I'm here to hold them accountable. I have introduced articles of impeachment for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Joe Biden's failure, his failed withdrawal from Afghanistan that left 13 of our servicemen and women dead. Absolutely disgusting. Abandoning American citizens. I have been on the phone with the State Department for days at a time trying to get Americans home. And the number one hindrance in getting Americans home and getting our allies out of harm's way with terrorists has been our own State Department. They are our number one hindrance. And we have this so-called commander-in-chief who takes orders from terrorists. That's not what "we don't negotiate with terrorists" means. That's not what that means. You tell the terrorists when we are leaving.
Why should we impeach Joe Biden? You introduced that bill, made huge headlines. I saw it printed everywhere. Tell me, I mean, I know you just went into it, obviously, about Afghanistan, but what is your floor speech on impeaching Joe Biden and convincing your Republican colleagues to finally get there? Because that's what I've heard a lot in the conference. Oh, yes. Impeachment, that wouldn't help us. That's not very strategic. What's your appeal?
So here's the deal. I am not sitting around and waiting for the next, I'm not sitting around and waiting for the next Congress. I'm doing something now to hold them accountable. And I have this crazy echo, so I'm hearing me like 10 seconds ago.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm going to try to ignore that. But this is a complete dereliction of duty. He has left our American citizens behind enemy lines, and he needs to be held accountable for that. What we're seeing at the southern border is absolutely disgusting. 1.5 illegal aliens coming across while Americans are being punished for this Fauci-funded Chinese virus. Our American citizens are being having their businesses shut down. Our kids are bound and muzzled in schools, and now employers with 100 employees or more are being forced to be vaccine police. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. Our frontline workers are under assault because of this, and not one illegal alien is being even tested for COVID-19 at the southern border, let alone being vaccinated. You know, I've been down there 3 times, unlike Joe Biden, who has not been to the southern border, maybe ever, and cackling Kamala, who went there just for a photo op because President Trump said that he was going down to the southern border, so she tried to beat him there. But this absolutely needs to be taken care of. If they want to treat this virus, this pandemic, seriously, it starts with shutting down the southern border.
That's exactly right. And it's such a compelling argument. You can't take this seriously. I just went to the border for the first time in my life last week. It was jaw-dropping. You saw Trump's wall, which I'm sure you did too, and then you saw what Joe Biden's building, which are welcome centers. Joe Biden's building welcome centers on the border. It can't be stated enough. What is being built by Joe Biden is little shanties that welcome people in. Okay, Lauren, so I know time is short. I just have to ask, what is out there to give people hope on this thing? Is this going to fail? This all everyone wants to talk about is this bill. It is the single, if this collapses, Joe Biden has no agenda. The entire Joe Biden administration regime, it collapses around him. And you're feeling the weight right now. The momentum and the inertia is not on his side. Give people hope. What is the best result here?
So if Republicans stick together, I do believe that it can fail. It has the ability to fail if Republicans do not assist them in passing this agenda across the line.
So you would need Republicans to break off, essentially.
We would need Republicans, to stay with Republicans. If Republicans stay with us in our party and vote against this and don't make excuses to vote Democrat light, then this fails.
Does it help telling people to call congressional offices? Yes. You are a young member of Congress. You just got here. I'm sure that I've lived in DC for a while. I've seen the way that staffers act when they've had a long day of phone calls. Whoa, yes. It means something, but I've never been a member of Congress. So what is it, is this an effective tactic?
It absolutely is effective. And you actually hit the nail on the head there. When the staffers start feeling that weight of those phone calls on those issues, that's when it gets to the member. When the member walks in their office and they say, man, our phones have been off the hook. And I think these are people who actually support you. I think that these are people who have legitimate concerns. That is absolutely effective. Now, on the contrary, you know, like at my office, we get the Lincoln Project saying, call Lauren Boebert and say this. And that's when I start picking up the phone and I start playing along too. I love those
What do you
days.
tell the Lincoln Project? No, what do you tell the Lincoln Project?
So we had it. It was actually with an interview that I had with you, and we were talking about Liz Cheney, and I said, what is it that she does here anyway? And so the Lincoln Project put on their Twitter, call Lauren Boebert's office and ask her, what is it that she does there? And so they would call in and they would say, what is it that the Congresswoman does anyway? And I'm like, first of all, you got the delivery all wrong. Secondly, I'm working. I'm not taking orders from the Lincoln Project all dang day.
No one should be taking orders from the Lincoln Project. Those people should be in jail. Those people are monsters over there.
Yes.
Gosh, just open up the New York Times and read the headlines. Goodness, do not send your kids to work at the Lincoln Project. So
Yes.
I'm reading here that Joe Manchin saying he's not on board with this thing. I'm reading here that Kristen Sinema is saying, like, YOLO, like, I'm not doing it, right? Joe Manchin just released a statement, I think, like 5 minutes before we came on. I'll read it here just in part. Manchin, while I'm hopeful that we can find common ground and the result will be historic, I cannot and will not support trillions in spending or any all-or-nothing approach that ignores the brutal fiscal realities of our national crisis. That sounds like a no. That sounds like I'm not going to do this thing.
I sure hope so. I was talking with Senator Cruz a couple of nights ago, and he said he had more faith in the squad to hold the line on this than he did there in the Senate.
Well, good. What happened? Something I'm asking everybody. Something I'm asking everyone, and I'll do this as our last. I'll do this as our last question, and maybe we'll take one question from the comment section. So we'll read them, and maybe we'll take a question from the comment section.
Sure.
Last question I always ask people is, when you get back to Congress, you will probably have a historic Republican majority. It's looking like a red wave.
Right.
And every indicator is saying this is a Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama 2010 level sweep. Barack Obama lost 60 seats in the House, right, in 2010.
Yes.
Every indicator is saying it's that or worse right now.
Yes.
So let's say you come back. You have a little bit of seniority. You have the majority. What do Republicans do? What changes? What's different? Give people motivation to get out there and vote.
Absolutely. There needs to be a lot of changes. First of all, we need to start leading on the issues and not appeasing the Democrats, because that's what I have seen Republicans do historically. They appease Democrats in their votes and they say, oh, we'll give you a little bit so we can get this across. We're going to be nice. Democrats never think that way. They never give us a little. They always take everything that they can to get their way. First of all, we need a balanced budget. We need a budget that actually balances and stops spending away our children's future. Now, me personally in Colorado, I have a lot of pieces of legislation that I can't wait to get passed that actually impact the West. Look, I love to be loud. I love to stomp around and talk about the issues of the day, but also our country is burning, and not by Antifa or BLM, but by the wildfires that we see. In Colorado, we choke on the smoke from California and Oregon and all of that. And I have legislation that actually takes care of this. And this is stuff that we could actually put into, we can implement and truly take care of the environment in a real way, because that is what conservatives want to do. We want to steward the land that we live in and that we live from. And so there's a lot of pieces of legislation that can actually impact that. And that's something that I'm excited to get passed. And so there's a lot that we need to just take a stand and say, no, we're doing this. My bill doesn't cost any money. It really is $0, actually generates revenue. And there's a lot of things that we could do that aren't spending everything, because that is the Democrats' plan. Spend, spend, spend. So there's a lot that we need to do. But next year, I can't wait. I'm going to be on the Natural Resource Committee, and I'm going to be in oversight. So we get to take care of the land and fight.
Nice, nice. I have two questions that we're going to ask directly from the comment section, real quick, and then we'll let you get back to cheering the GOP on. First question from the comment section. The comments are going so fast, I didn't catch the name. I'm sorry. But the question is, what about investigations? If you're going to be on oversight, what kind of investigations would be opened up under a GOP-held Congress?
Fauci's first. So, I mean, we have so many investigations that that we need to have immediately. Fauci is absolutely first. And then all of these woke generals absolutely need to come under. And you know what? I'm happy to bring back Hillary Clinton. I'm happy to bring in anyone that we can. Barack Obama. Let's talk about his third term here. And
yeah, I mean,
have an answer for that.
If they're calling it the Obama agenda, then you better come. You can come in and answer for it, right?
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
The second one, and this has been definitely one of the most popular questions on all these lives: voter integrity.
Yeah.
Voter integrity,
yes.
Anti-fraud laws. How do we secure our elections from fraud? What can the GOP Congress do about it? Obviously, we saw government takeover bills be passed by the Senate.
Yes.
I'm sorry, by the House, two of them, H.R. 1 and H.R. 4. So what is the Republican anecdote?
So there is a Republican bill that's election integrity. However, I'm not in love with it. Because I don't want a DC takeover of our federal elections. I want states to be in charge of our elections, and that has been what I've talked about HR 1 and HR 4 all year long. Is I don't want this federal takeover. I don't want it to be at risk of being back in the hands of Democrats, and then there is a takeover of all of our elections. So the states absolutely need to do something. I want to see audits. I want to see voter ID laws. A lot of this HR 1 stuff, it would do away with current voter laws in states and override those states' ability to actually have free, fair, and secure elections. But this is a major issue that we hear about every single day, and this is something that we absolutely need to get ahead of.
Yeah, you're right about federalism, and quite frankly, if you want to live in California, they just passed universal mail-in voting. If you want to live inside of a fraud state, well, then, I guess that's your choice. But there are also states like Florida.
Don't bring those policies to red states when you're fleeing from your horrible policies, when you're a political refugee and you're fleeing to these red states. Don't bring those terrible policies with you.
That's exactly right. And then you have, the situation in Texas, Florida, where places have hardened their election rights and hardened their election security, right? Anti-fraud laws is what I call them, and that's precisely, I think, the right messaging. There is no fraud in Lauren Boebert. She is the real deal, everyone. Certified platinum with her hat there. Lauren, what's your final parting shot here? What's the response when you wear that hat around DC?
Say the last part again. So I still got this like deck and
say. Wear that hat around DC.
So actually, I've got a lot of compliments. And then I get a lot of eyes cut over at me too. But I think the signature just kind of seals the deal.
Seal the deal.
Today's
tonight.
kind of a safe day to wear a MAGA hat in DC, but this is definitely not MAGA country here.
Seal the deal tonight. GOP win in the congressional baseball game there. Thank you so much, Lauren, for joining us.
Thanks so much, Vinny. This has been great. Thank you.
All right. See
you, everyone.
Thank you for watching. We are 100% independent news. Are you sick of being lied to? We certainly are. That's why we started this channel. But we can't do it without you. We can't keep going without your help. All we ask is that you click like and subscribe and share this video. It's free and it keeps us going. It keeps us growing and it keeps us getting the truth out there to break the rotted corporate media infrastructure that wants to lie to you every single day, wants to corrupt your narrative, your truth, your story, and your very society. So support us by clicking like, clicking subscribe, and thank you, Patriots.